G'day. So thanks for coming along. My name's Peter Kibble, and I'm one of the directors here at Hal Bowman. We get asked quite a few different questions from people. Obviously, that the answers are applicable to a lot of people. So one of the ones we get a lot is just around career planning, moving from professional service to commerce. So I just thought it worthwhile running through that real quick. So my background, I started recruiting in transactional finance, so accounts payable, receivable, payroll, then moved on to qualified accountants, so management reporting, financial accountants, commercial analysts. And then my last job before setting up Ford Peterson, now Hal Bowman, was to help start a commerce recruitment desk at one of the fastest growing recruitment businesses in Australia at the time. And I was one of the top three, in the top three performers nationally of about 150 staff in the end. And during this time, I would have interviewed somewhere in the region of 2,500 CFOs, commercial managers, financial controllers, and I would have filled around hundreds of first mover jobs. So since starting Ford Peterson, Hal Bowman, we have done a lot more in professional services. However, still recruit a bit into commerce. So let's get on with that. So today we're just going to be talking about giving a general overview of what hiring managers are looking for out of first movers, what the competitive advantages are for each service line. So we're only really going to talk about business services, corporate tax, audit, and insolvency. The important considerations before you move to commerce, how I would recruit a role for finance, for the jobs listed below, and then if we have time, we will answer a couple of questions. But I don't really know how to track all that sort of stuff, like the comments. So we'll see how we go. So what are commercial hiring managers looking for? So it really just sort of depends on the level of experience that you move and that you're moving out at. But independent of service line you work in, if you're like a newly qualified chartered accountant, essentially what they're hiring, like the vast majority, unless it's a technical reporting role, will be they want somebody who has a knowledge of how accounting works, some business acumen, and in most cases, a qualified accountant. So, that, like, if you speak to a commercial manager, like their view on people coming out of professional services is, they've got a lot of learning to do around the commercial stuff, and so they're less concerned about the actual service line for most roles. So anyway, so business services, if you currently work in business services, you should know that, most people working in business services will have a sound knowledge of finance reporting for small businesses and will have some practical tax knowledge. So the client and staff management experience is going to be what separates people. So we have put provided you have experience working on 0 to 10. So the reason the size of businesses that you work on matter is because obviously the larger the business, the type of person you actually have to influence, like non-finance people that you have to influence, they're different types of people to someone who's running like a $2 million business. So it is unlikely, if you're working in business services, that you'll have strong technical accounting knowledge relevant to large listed businesses. And if your goal is to work for a large corporate, it is. I'm sorry to tell you, but it is unlikely your experience is going to be that directly transferable into like a finance function of a large listed entity. So there's no one doing tax returns for $5 million businesses in a ASX top 10. So the jobs that I would be going for if I was you, it would be management reporting, commercial analyst, financial analyst. And if you really want to be a financial accountant, have a look at a financial accounting role in a non-listed business. My view on that really is that if you're getting that job, like if it's a financial accountant job, the business is probably going to be pretty small, and yeah, like I'd question the reasons why you'd want to go there, because you just like an accounting firm, you can get, if it's too small a firm like business, you can get stuck. That's the long and the short of it. Corporate tax, you know, it is similar to business services. I mean, the main difference being the size and complexity of clients. The primary benefit though is that the experience is directly transferable to a corporate tax team in commerce. Costs of working in corporate tax, like the focus tends to be narrower than business services, and similar to business services, it is unlikely people in this service line will have strong technical, I should say, financial reporting experience. Like you've probably got very good technical tax experience, but the financial reporting stuff is, it's less likely that you're going to have very strong financial reporting experience. Like the truth is, like obviously which jobs to go for. Yeah, the easiest job to get is a corporate tax role in commerce. You know, I would, the caveat to that is that everyone currently working in a corporate tax consulting team is probably looking for that job as well. So, you know, how well does your experience stack up against the corporate tax people that you compete against for those first mover jobs? If the goal is to move away from tax, you should be able to get a similar roles to people working in business services. So I would avoid financial reporting jobs just because, yeah, I mean, you can try, but you're probably going to get beaten by a Big Four auditor. And yeah, like you might as well go for a role where it's more about influencing and less about the actual technical tax, technical knowledge, especially to do with financial management reporting. So audits. Audit's an interesting one. Like we get a lot of people asking about audit. Audit experience is great if you want to get into a very technical reporting role. So anyway, the primary benefits of audit experience, likely to have strong technical financial reporting experience, along with some industry specialization. So the industry specialization, if you want to get away from financial reporting, is probably going to be the big one that differentiates you from corporate tax and business services. Experience dealing with very senior finance people in large businesses, and experience is directly transferable to financial reporting roles in commerce. So yeah, like the experience, it's similar to tax in the sense that as an auditor, your experience is directly transferable. However, you're still going to be competing against all the people moving out of audit. So whether or not you're the best of those auditors is another question. The costs of working in audit, apart from the hours, the main cost associated with audit is that the experience is more reviewing rather than production of financial reports. So some people moving from audit have had a hard time with that transition. And you know, it will still be very competitive for the financial reporting roles, as everyone you're competing against is likely to be coming from a similar team in the Big Four for those roles. So even though your experience relative to the other service lines is greater, it's not necessarily better or than the other people in your service line. So anyway, that said, the easiest jobs to get, I would argue, would be a financial reporting role or an internal audit / risk role. However, lots of these jobs will hire auditors into commercial, lots of these businesses, will hire auditors into commercial finance roles, and auditors will have advantage over other service lines if they have an industry specialization. So so like people moving from the Big Four will probably have an industry specialization. Sorry, excuse me. But people working at some of the smaller audit places may not. They may just be doing a whole heap of different non-listed entities, in which case, I'd just go for a financial reporting role in a non-listed. But overall, like if you're looking to move out of audit into commercial finance, the path of least resistance would be financial accountant or audit risk. And, you know, I wouldn't be viewing that role as like a negative. Like a lot of people say, I want to get away from financial reporting, but a lot of people in group reporting roles will move from group reporting to a divisional finance role to commercial finance. So, you can definitely move from financial reporting into a commercial finance role. So, so the next one is insolvency. So I used to work in insolvency, so I have a soft spot for insolvency people. Unfortunately for people coming out of insolvency, not much of the experience is directly transferable to commerce. But anyway, the primary benefits really of working in insolvency is a strong knowledge of how and why businesses fail, as well as experience conducting investigations into company affairs. Unfortunately, insolvency is viewed as accounting adjacent, and it can be tough moving into commerce from insolvency. I do feel for people who are working in insolvency who, get 2 years down and want to get out. Like, it can be really, really hard. But what I'll say about people from insolvency is they tend to be excellent. Like, they're very, very good communicators, really good at writing reports, very presentable. So I would argue that those sorts of people are going to be best suited to a commercial finance role. But anyway, the costs of working in insolvency will be all other service lines. You'll have some hands-on experience in accounting, excluding trade-ons. Insolvency is more about writing reports and conducting investigations. So the jobs I'd probably go for, I have put risk and forensics there. I think you could probably add commercial analysts to that pretty easily. The main reason why a commercial analyst role wouldn't be, why you wouldn't get that job is probably because the hiring manager may not know enough, or the internal recruiter or whatever, the recruiter may not know enough about insolvency, and they'll just go, it's not accounting. Provided you're able to present the information in the right way to demonstrate, like, you've had stakeholder management and that you've got some decent industry knowledge, then you should be able to get a commercial finance role. I think the risk and forensics, unfortunately, are probably limited to people working at the much larger insolvency firms. So people that are doing big matters, working on big matters. So but just because a bank will probably have a similar type of team doing the forensic stuff. If you've got experience on large matters, you can probably get into forensics a lot easier than if you're just doing Part 10s and what's the other one? VA, but businesses under 2 million, probably similar to business services in that respect. So I just thought it worthwhile, going through, like, if I was recruiting either of these jobs below, who's getting the job? So, a financial accountant job, I'm sorry, it will go to the Big Four first mover. So from audit. Now, the caveat on that is that simply that, like, a lot of people will come to us and ask us about, I'm working in business services, I want to get into commerce, should I go get a job in Deloitte audit, and because I want to eventually move to commerce into a financial accounting role? The answer is probably not. It's, this will sound incredibly harsh, but if you didn't go to the Big Four straight out of uni or straight out of high school, you're probably not going to get those real technical reporting roles as a Big Four first mover. So, like, as a guide, like when I was I did recruit a lot for ASX top 50 businesses. I placed a lot of group reporting roles. Unless somebody had an ATAR of 95, several merit awards and industry experience, like they were working in audit, they probably weren't even getting on the long list. Like, that's the honest truth. So there's a few reasons for that, obviously, above and beyond the actual experience. Like, the people in those roles, like the group financial controller is probably a Big Four trained auditor. So they'll always have a preference for people coming out of the Big Four. You do see the odd person coming from like a BDO or a Grant Thornton or one of those sorts of places, but into those group reporting roles. But mainly it is first movers from the Big Four, and I would go a step further than that and say they probably did a cadetship at the Big Four as well. So the next one would be management accountant. Yeah, I don't think I'd be shocked if I've ever placed a first mover into a management accountant job. I may have. I think maybe. Yeah, I can think of one. Yeah, so just it was just a small financial services business, but yeah, it's just really unlikely. Like for whatever reason, I don't know why, but a management accountant, like you do budgets, forecasts, KPI analysis, all that sort of stuff. So they're probably going to take that person from a commerce, like who's already in commerce. But like if I had to get someone out of prof and that was my only choice, I would probably get I would want somebody who has CFO advisory experience. So yeah, somebody who's actually done management reporting, budgets, forecasts, because those roles do exist now within professional services. So I might as well take that person. The next one on the list would probably be business services for a management accountant job. Just even if the person hasn't worked in CFO advisory, they've probably done a budget or forecast. So they're probably going to be all right. But yeah, I'd just be really surprised if, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, management accountants don't tend to go to first movers. Commercial analysts. So a commercial analyst, if you think about what they actually do, like you've got to be pretty analytical. Like you've got to have you've probably got to be. I think it's probably more important that you've got decent Excel skills, or you know how to. Yeah, you can talk to ChatGPT to help you with your Excel properly. But the commercial analysts, yeah. So it's a bit. It's not really accounting, right? Like you're just doing business partnering stuff. So looking at looking at how different, like for example, within FMCG, you'd be looking at how products are selling and, basically looking at the performance of sales promotions a lot of the time, and doing new product development analysis and all that sort of stuff. So I think the person who's most likely going to get that job will either be an auditor out of a company, like an audit team that audits that service, like audits that industry. So, you know, like if it was at Arnott's, it's probably going to a first mover out of an audit team that is all FMCG, as an example. And the reason why it would go to an auditor over maybe a business services person, like I just think it's like this unconscious bias that goes to, you know, like the idea is that because Big Four is bigger, you know, it's more competitive to get into, therefore I should probably hire that person. So that's probably the main reason. But I think I would have no issue sending someone out of business services to a commercial analyst role. I have no issue sending someone from a tax team or insolvency. Insolvency would probably need a bit more explanation, I would say. But yeah, overall, I think commercial analysts, as long as you can talk to people and that you can explain financial information to non-finance, then yeah, you should be able to get it. And you've got an interest in the industry and all that sort of stuff, then you should be able to get a commercial analyst role. And the interesting about commercial analyst roles is it is a backdoor into like people who want to get into corporate finance and all that sort of stuff. Like, but getting a commercial analyst role is probably a backdoor into that. And then corporate tax analyst sort of goes without saying, that's going to somebody straight out of a corporate tax team. So that's it. In summary there, like if you're working in business services, you probably want to be going for commercial analyst roles or financial accountant roles in non-listed. You can try your luck at a management accountant job and go for those. You might get one. If you're working in audit, then I'd just be going for, all those jobs are available to you probably, except for a corporate tax role. But the financial accountant job is the most likely, I would have thought. Otherwise, a commercial analyst in a industry that you audit. And then if you're working in corporate tax, go for a corporate tax role, obviously. And then after that, commercial analyst, and then maybe management accountant, maybe financial accountant. But I think it's pretty unlikely you're going to get either of those. And then insolvency, I'd probably go for a commercial analyst role. It's pretty unlikely you're going to get a financial accountant or management accountant job, or a corporate tax role. But they're the ones I'd go for out of those 4. So, yeah, so just a few closing points. So, look, I think like a lot of people we speak to want to move to commerce, okay? And that's all good. Like if you want to move to commerce and that's your dream, you know, good luck to you. You know, we're happy to help you try and do that. But I do think it's really important that before you make that move, you understand what you're giving up and whether or not you take the time to really consider whether or not you're ready for that move. And the reason being, like, your relationship with your employer it changes when you move to commerce. I mean, you go from a revenue generating asset in an accounting firm where people want you to get better. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like a partner, you know, if you finish your CA, if you get promoted, all that sort of stuff, they can charge you out at more. So there is incentive to invest in your training. So yeah, your relationship with your employer changes. You know, you do move from a revenue generating asset to a cost to a business. Staff management. I think this is understated, like the importance of getting staff management experience before you move to commerce, because there are not many people earning under 150K in commerce that will be managing staff. So if you're like a newly qualified CA and you're looking to move to commerce and you haven't got staff management experience, I mean, you might not care about that, but that's just something to consider. So yeah, so getting this sort of staff management experience, I think is really, really important. But you know, you might, yeah, you may not, you may think you can just wing it and that's fine, and you may be able to. So yeah, so it's unlikely you're going to get staff management experience in commerce until you're on sort of 150, 200K. And then the final one, salaries. So look, we get a lot of people, you know, saying salaries are higher in commerce than in professional services, and this is true up until a point. In my experience, it is easier to get to 100K in commerce, but it's a lot harder to get to 200K. So the other thing as well, like, and it's not on here, but just around like job security, you know, one of the saddest things to do was to put up like a CFO role on Seek, like in 2014. And the reason being, like, you get 100 applicants and they'd all be good. Like, so it's so competitive at that top end in commerce. And, you know, there's a lot of people on over 150K in commerce that will have a hard time changing jobs. So I do think that's something that you really need to consider when you're moving to commerce. Like a lot of people we speak with move to commerce because, you know, it's sexier and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just bear in mind that if you're looking to move to commerce and because you want to get one of the top jobs, there's only 100 group CFO roles in the ASX top 100 in Australia, you know, so you've got to be pretty good to get one of those. But yeah, so hopefully that gives people a bit of a decent overview of yeah, the moving to commerce stuff. Look, basically, we're always happy to talk to people around yeah, career advice. It's not about selling you a job. It's not about anything like that. It's just more about, from our point of view, if we give good advice, then we should be out, like, you know, you get rewarded based on giving people, the more people you can give good advice to, the better you'll do. So yeah, like if there are things that you want covered in the future in these sorts of webinars, please let us know.